In remote mountains of central China, moisture born on the monsoons nurtures a forest world of isolation and mystery. Across ages, bamboo has flourished in the persistent mists, erecting nearly impenetrable thickets, barriers against time and the outside world. For nearly a decade, a Chinese scientist has searched the bamboo forest for one of the world's most elusive animals. Though its image is known to millions, the giant panda has kept its life in the wild hidden from humans. For Professor Pan Wenshe, deciphering the panda's secrets is an urgent matter. The species clings precariously to existence. Only about 1,200 remain. In captivity, pandas have not reproduced enough to increase or even maintain their population. If the species is to be saved, we must understand and protect the secret life of pandas in the wild. Now, an unprecedented opportunity. In a mountain cave, a newborn panda is found, permitting the first comprehensive film record and the first long-term study of a young panda, embarking on a remarkable life unlike that of any creature on Earth. Mountains, rugged divide between northern and southern China, and one of the last retreats of the giant panda. Concealed by dense foliage and its own distinctive color pattern, the panda is literally hidden here. In the panda's world, nothing is quite what it seems. The clown-like mask elicits instant human affection, but it's probably seen as a threat by other animals, one of the panda's many subtle defenses. Pandas are shy and seldom aggressive. When one is seen, it is usually retreating. They are solitary animals, rarely together, but they are aware of each other, keeping in touch by sound and especially scent. Their social lives consist largely of reading and leaving scent marks. Rubbing its scent glands on trees and rocks, a panda says, "Here I am," or "There I was." By smell alone, pandas can tell the identity and sexual mood of a neighbor who may go unseen for months. Almost exclusively, giant pandas eat bamboo. Equipped with a unique sixth digit, ideal for eating bamboo, pandas have been shaped by evolution for this life-sustaining activity. They consume up to 80 pounds of bamboo a day with great technique and efficiency. But they're finicky about this monotonous diet. They eat different parts of the bamboo in different seasons. Sometimes they prefer the tender leaves and shoots, while at other times it's the tough woody stems they crave. It's a lot of work for little reward. Only about 17% is digested. So pandas must eat relentlessly, up to 14 hours a day. They eat till they're full, then sleep wherever they are until they awaken, hungry again. But young pandas are the exception. To survive, they must learn about the world. They must play. Seemingly vulnerable, the panda has endured while other, more formidable mammals have become extinct. Its margin of safety is narrow, but for millions of years it has been sufficient. Yet an understanding of how the wild panda survives has been as elusive as the animal itself. To unlock the panda's secrets, a former logging camp called Shashuping now serves as a research station. From this base, biology professor Pan Wenshe and his students monitor more than 60 pandas in the surrounding forest, the first long-term study of wild pandas and their young. With Lu Zhe, former student and now a research colleague, Pan has long hoped to discover why panda young, fragile in captivity, seem to thrive in the wild. This knowledge could save the species. After years of patient searching, Pan and Lu Zhe now suspect a birth has occurred in a high den and set out on a September morning to investigate. The treacherous slopes of Qinling are like fortress walls, and perhaps explain why the existence of giant pandas here was not confirmed until 1964. A gentle approach, to glimpse without disturbing. In a cramped cave, an adult female they have tracked closely. Cradled in her paws, a tiny pink body. Pan will find that a wild panda mother devotes herself entirely to her newborn. She holds and soothes the baby continuously, neither leaving the den nor feeding for 25 days. Blind and helpless, the newborn is dwarfed by its mother. At about 4 ounces, it weighs only 1/900th as much. Perhaps in part to prevent an accidental crushing, the infant panda wields a voice out of all proportion to its body. Professor Pan's hope is that by studying the baby's needs, he can learn enough to help avoid misadventures of the past involving pandas and human beings. A panda was not seen alive in the West until 1936, when a cub named Su Lin was carried to the United States. Though Su Lin would survive only 18 months, it was love at first sight. The public craved more pandas, and zoos responded. The sudden fad was called pandemonium. The panda was immediately beloved, but poorly understood, treated as if the living animal were itself a child's toy. And the toy had arrived without an instruction manual. Keepers could only guess at its needs. Nearly half died within 5 years. As a result of our enchantment, 1 in 10 of the world's remaining pandas lives in captivity today, among the most popular and profitable of zoo animals. The dream has been to breed pandas in captivity for release into the wild, but arranged matings produce very few offspring. The result has been a record of more deaths in captivity than births. Even in a more natural enclosure, in a Chinese panda reserve, successful reproduction remains uncertain. A female can conceive only during a few days each year. In captivity, males are mainly indifferent, in part because they lack competition and are often overweight. Loud love songs frequently lead to no more than a wrestling match. Even when young are produced, their chances of survival are bleak. In the past 3 decades, nearly 60% have died within their first year. Despite intense care, this cub would live only 5 months. So far, it has not been possible to breed a self-sustaining panda population in captivity. For the species to survive, protecting it in the wild is critical. But time and habitat are running out. A panda homeland that once stretched across southern Asia from Vietnam to present-day Beijing has shrunk under human pressure to only 6 small, unconnected areas. For about 240 wild pandas, the southern slopes of the Qinling Mountains are a last refuge. By fitting pandas with radio collars and monitoring their signals, Professor Pan and Lu Zhi have been able to track the pandas in their study group from afar and locate them easily for closer observation. Theirs is an unprecedented bond between human and panda. Never before have wild pandas become so accustomed to scientists and allowed them so close.
For 9
years in Qinling, Lu Zhi and I have lived among giant pandas. We drink water from the same small stream with them, and we have stayed together with them almost every day. They're familiar with our scent. These pandas know us very well.
Lone pandas are often very tolerant. But will a mother be so trusting if they attempt to visit the newborn inside the den? Hoping to conduct a thorough examination of the panda cub, Professor Pan and Lu Zhi approach while the mother feeds some distance away from the new den. She has stayed away so long they now fear the cub may be dead, erasing a scientific opportunity and another life in a lineage where each has become precious.
Oh, good yeah. Good yeah.
Their fears prove unfounded. Pan knows his time to inspect the cub is limited. Too long in the den, and despite their efforts to gain her acceptance, the mother could react violently to their presence here and attack them. They usually observe from a distance, but they must sometimes examine the infant panda closely to document its growth. It's a female, an advantage for science. In the years to come, she may bear cubs of her own, permitting study of a panda family across generations. At 7 weeks, the baby weighs more than 3 pounds. Her eyes are opening on the world. Her expanding repertoire of sounds could alarm her mother, still browsing nearby. Pan is heartened by what he finds. The cub appears normal and fit, with a stomach full of mother's milk and a strong heartbeat. Time is up. The baby must be returned quickly to avoid a confrontation. In the weeks to come, Pan and Lu Zhe make an important observation. When her cub is weeks old, a wild mother leaves it to feed for hours at a time. In the past, this natural behavior was often thought abandonment, and many cubs were taken from their mothers only to die later in human care. This all began with a boyhood dream of adventure in a faraway exotic land.
When I was in high school, I read Jack London's books. Among the books, 2 greatly impressed me: White Fang and The Call of the Wild. From then on, I dreamed of living in remote areas like Western America or Alaska or the Yukon River Valley. Living in the wild and among wild animals, that was my early dream, and I hope to make it my future.
The years have turned early fascination to enduring devotion. Pan spends months of each year in primitive conditions, paying some research expenses out of his own pocket, working late hours to log and analyze data in a tiny cubicle that is both office and bedroom. Pan's other world offers a stark contrast. The rest of the year he spends in Beijing, sprawling symbol of modern industrial China. Here, Pan is a biology professor at Beijing University. His work was mainly in the laboratory until he and the panda had their first fateful encounter.
大学毕业之后，大概我在25岁左右，全世界第一只在人工养出来的小熊猫就在北京动物园。我当时就抱那小熊猫，小熊猫咬我的身体，哎呀，我觉得特别的舒服。我想我这一辈子就要研究野生动物，要研究野生熊猫。
After graduating from college, when I was 25 years old, I had the opportunity to go visit the Beijing Zoo, where they had the first captive-born baby panda. And that was the first time that I was able to hold a panda. And it was very interesting. The baby panda climbed all over me. And that was when I decided I wanted to devote my whole life to studying the pandas.
At a zoo in the ancient capital city of Xi'an, a visit to a friend. Her name is Dan Dan, a reference to her reddish brown and white coloration. She is one of only 3 such pandas they know of. Pan and Lu Zhe think this color scheme may be a throwback to prehistoric times. Pandas may have developed their black and white coloration as camouflage during the ice ages. Finding Dan Dan ill in the wild, Pan and Lu Zhe brought her here for temporary care, hoping she would be released later. Her confinement disturbed Pan, who was himself held prisoner in the late 60s during the Cultural Revolution.
The Cultural Revolution was a big mess. No one dared to speak the truth. Because I told the truth, they put me in jail, beat me, and pulled my hair. I thought the only thing I can do is to insist on seeking the truth.
After 56 days of beatings and confinement in darkness, Pan escaped.
Overcoming this suffering has become the basis for my conviction as a scientist, always to tell the truth.
In a Beijing classroom, Pan carries his campaign on behalf of pandas to a wildly receptive audience. Using props made from the skins of pandas who died in captivity, Pan teaches about the need to protect wild pandas. His stories evoke surprise. The children thought pandas lived only in zoos. Pan wants to inspire understanding of wild pandas in the generation that will probably decide their fate. In a country of nearly 1.2 billion people, with urgent human needs, he faces a long road. Even some friends cannot understand why he leaves his home and family several times a year for the sake of a wild animal. The trip south to the Qinling Mountains is itself a test of resolve. 22 hours by train, then 14 hours by bus. For Pan, this journey retraces the ancient retreat of the panda before advancing waves of human settlement. The last stands of wilderness, like the last pandas, survive only where food crops cannot, at the highest edges of existence. For years, Professor Pan and Lu Zhe conducted a lonely enterprise. But they have now attracted a following of students who staff the Qinling Research Station in seasonal shifts.
还有吗？没有了。我说你们对，随便拿点什么东西，然后就上去。走吧，走吧。太好了，太好，都来不及握手了哈。小狗找回来了。哦，小狗找回来了。
To Pan, they hold promise that the panda will not be forgotten. And they have been staunch companions in an adventure that has sometimes been an ordeal.
我觉得最早在沙树品种研究所遇到的
There were many difficulties when we started this research. We always felt cold, and our clothes were always wet. Lu Zhe got frostbite on her face, and Ding Shen had frostbitten fingers.
我们住在哪里呢？一晚。
继续去吧。
讲淡黄色。对对，没有粉红色的。
Mid-December. 4 months have passed since the birthing season among Qinling pandas. Cubs are now old enough to crawl from their dens and are sometimes found outside while their mothers browse nearby.
怎么样？
你看，你睡觉，在这儿。
哎，我来。
Face to face with humans, the cub seems by turns reticent and full of bravado.
那他不一定，他现在睡着了。他妈妈走了，他就这么睡。嗯。
To symbolize her importance for the future of pandas, the two researchers have decided to name her Shiwang, meaning hope. The christening is of no interest to a baby who may sleep 20 hours a day, even when guests are present. Easy slumber is a panda trait. Nearby, her mother unwinds from the labors of eating bamboo. Shiwang seems vulnerable, but animal predators pose less of a threat than humans. A panda pelt can bring poachers more than $10,000, and dozens of panda cubs have been taken into captivity by well-meaning rescuers who believed or wanted to believe that they had been abandoned. Shiwang is still nursing, so bamboo, which will dominate her life, is for now just a plaything. A surprise. The mother returns and decides to move Shiwang to a new den, a routine occurrence, but for Pan and Lu Zhe, it's a rare moment. Despite years of observation, they have seldom seen two pandas, even mother and young, together in the open. Touched by her devotion, they call the mother Jiao Jiao, or double charming. In Pan's study area, only one farm has persevered in the harsh altitudes of panda territory. En route back, the two scientists visit the Li family, who count themselves protectors of the pandas. Pan has heard reports that a panda has been sighted in the vicinity. It behaved as though ill. Have the Lis seen it?
看这当上没看见熊猫。哦，你看以前在哪看见？你指给我看。哦，是在哪里呢？河那边也有。河那边有啊。哦。
They have, by the river, and were surprised to encounter one so far down the mountain. In a chill rain, at 1 in the morning, Professor Pan and his team are summoned on a special mission. Villagers have sent word that a wild panda has appeared on a doorstep. Pan thinks it may be the animal seen by the Lis. The scientists are puzzled by a tendency of wild pandas to come to human dwellings when ill, an enigma in a creature normally so withdrawn. Though they are neighbors of wild pandas, few in the village have ever seen one. Beneath corn dried for hog feed, the creature huddles as if seeking help. The animal appears old. Pan asks if the panda has been fed. It has not. The man discovered it, whimpering, and he was amazed. Suspecting a digestive problem, Pan decides to treat the panda back at camp. It proves no easy task to relocate the 200-pound creature. At Shashuping Research Station, therapy begins with a breakfast of bamboo. Weighing the old panda's good fortune at being rescued, the students call him by a name that means lucky. Already, his appetite is returning. Antibiotics and vitamins mixed in honey meal quickly revive Lucky's spirit. In ancient texts, a creature believed to be the panda was known as the iron-eating beast because it chewed up metal cooking utensils, and it still tries to. Lucky, it turns out, has an unruly curiosity and an indiscriminate palate. Eventually, the cautious researchers manage to retrieve this unusual delicacy. In Shashuping's field lab, Lu Zhe adds samples of Lucky's blood to a growing collection from pandas living in isolated groups. Through genetic analysis, she seeks to learn how much inbreeding has occurred. In 100 years, she fears all chinling pandas could be first cousins. This could cause extinction through harmful mutations and vulnerability to disease.
There is a critical question if this animal is in inbreeding and how much and how bad the inbreeding could be. This work, we hope, will answer this question, and then we will find a way to help pandas.
Recovered after a week of treatment, Lucky is ready to be released. Pan is hopeful, but the scientists know Lucky may be too old to survive in the wild. Weeks later, their fears will be confirmed. Again ill, Lucky will be taken to a feeding center where he will die. In the bitter cold of early January, while other chinling animals hibernate, the panda cannot. Enslaved by the need to eat almost perpetually, pandas continue to roam the frozen forest. Pan and Lu Zhe have learned to respect the panda's tough constitution. Thick, oily fur and bulky bodies insulate them, and they seem immune to the cold. For Xiwang, snow is just a new terrain to explore. Now a 5-month-old toddler, she seems dimly aware that trees are important. In the months to come, they will offer her only safety from predators in her mother's absence. But to hide in a tree, Xiwang must first learn to climb it.
4个月半
4个月
4个半月
4个半月，对，还在那爬，爬得很笨。
For now, baffled by the challenge, she gives up. For those who would study pandas, winter in the Qinling Mountains is a test of resolve. The cold is relentless, even inside. Days and nights pass in the shared chores of a dwelling heated only by wood fire, lit only by candle and lantern. As winter drags on, Zhao Zhao begins to take Xiwang with her while foraging. The ancient Chinese may have found in such scenes of tranquility a symbol of peace. According to one account, retiring armies waved not a white flag, but an image of a panda. For Xiwang, another attempt to climb. Success brings not only safety, but a measure of youthful adventure. As winter gives way to spring, the panda's realm in the Qinling Mountains reawakens with sound and color. By May, the new foliage intrigues Xiwang. At 9 months, she continues to nurse, but like human babies, she investigates the world with her mouth. For Zhao Zhao, spring brings not only the bamboo shoots she treasures, but the seasonal agony of ticks and leeches. Xiwang will watch her mother from the trees another 4 months until she's ready to join her foraging along the forest floor. Once tentative, she now climbs about freely, sometimes showing greater daring than judgment. Zhao Zhao seems little concerned about a well-padded youngster, especially when succulent bamboo shoots are abundant. For both, life is serene. They look awkward, but pandas are deceptively agile. Their joints so flexible they can bite their own tails and perform gymnastic routines in suspenseful slow motion. Clear-cut harvesting of the pandas' forests is the paramount threat to their continued existence. Food and cover dwindle. Populations are further isolated. Panda ranges have declined by half in only 2 decades, primarily from logging. A billion people in China need wood for homes and heat. In 50 years, it could be almost 2 billion. Over the years, Professor Pan has watched timber companies invade 70% of Qinling's panda habitat.
你们还什么时候回去啊
10月份回去啊，
那什么时候再来啊
明年2月。
明年2月再来哎呦那边的山顶上采不采
He asks how far the loggers intend to go. Next spring, they will cut all the way over the mountains, the slopes now roamed by Jiao Jiao and Shi Wang. To penetrate the panda's forest, new roads must be blasted out of the mountainside.
你说一点有的，一点有的，一点不用放加油对了，放多箱子对了，对的，这样很好，多加点，放多一箱子了，咱们就。
你房子这几个人我再有个你再这上别不起来石头嘛，再装饰的。
你再装的话咋办
？By most standards, the operations are crude, sometimes conducted with a casual daring that mixes gunpowder with cigarettes. Industrial safety is a recent development here, but despite accidents, the work goes on relentlessly. Risking all, Pan has pleaded with authorities to stop the logging of Qinling. With stubborn insistence, despite threats and harassment, he has succeeded. The government has halted the timber cutting in the 125 square mile study area. An excursion to check on Shi Wang, now outfitted with a radio collar. It is mid-October. At 14 months, Shi Wang is passing her second autumn. Something is amiss. The signals lead to a tangled clump of brush. Expecting Shi Wang, they find only her collar.
Hi. 你
Pan believes Jiao Jiao tore the collar from her youngster.
娇娇怎么咬了给拔下来了？你看看娇娇在哪里？
He suggests they search for Jiao Jiao instead. But Jiao Jiao's signal is weak. They will have to separate and scour the slopes.
那你们3个人，你们从哪边走？你们3个人走。
Xiwang is invaluable to science. She has been monitored since birth and has provided unprecedented information. But for Pan and his crew, this panda has also become a friend. Following his instincts, Pan comes to a steep ravine. Barely visible among the foliage, sitting casually in a tree, the familiar shape of Xiwang. To re-establish contact, they must sedate and re-collar Xiwang. They must act now before they lose her again. But her perch above a cliff makes it a delicate operation. The tranquilizing dart is necessary, the pain to be inflicted slight. But the moment is always disconcerting to those whose lives are dedicated to protecting wild things. Several minutes pass as drowsiness sweeps across her. They pray she won't fall. Now docile, Xiwang stays in the tree, enabling them to bring her down safely. At 80 pounds, she is a precious but awkward burden. The professor, who is her observer and defender, a father of 2 daughters, bears her as carefully as if she were a third. Using radio collars, Pan and Lu Zhe have been able to keep track of the whereabouts and activity of more than 30 pandas at Qinling. Theirs is the first comprehensive study to document the social and breeding behavior of wild pandas. These periodic inspections are inconvenient for Xiwang and rob her of dignity, but she is contributing details of her development that can be obtained in no other way. Xiwang's story could affect her entire species, revealing how to ensure their survival in the wild and to improve their care in captivity. For Xiwang, it has been a day of curious events in a close encounter with another species. She returns to her mother and the life of endless simplicity, now interested only in a drink of water and soon, perhaps, a little bamboo. At the Shashuping Research Station, a moment of farewell. After months of work, 4 of Pan's students must return to the university. Assistants will come and go during the years ahead, but Pan intends to stay here as long as it takes to understand the life of pandas in the wild and to keep them roaming freely through the surrounding forests. In the ritual exercise called Qigong, Pan daily rekindles his determination.
在北京的时候，一些朋友都问我，你一年一年的在野外生活，你到底什么时候有个头？
My friends in Beijing always ask, why do you continue to work in the field year after year? When will it end? Your work has been published. Why don't you stop? I tell them my goal is to protect the panda and to establish a refuge for them in the wild. That is my mission, but it will be difficult. Achieving this goal may take my entire lifetime, and even that may not be enough.
So one man perseveres, as solitary as his pandas, a lonely figure in this island of wilderness, one man and one panda. Since these scenes were filmed, Chiwang has struck out on her own. In the not-too-distant future, she could have a cub herself. As pandas have for millions of years, she will feast on the forest, drink from cold streams, endure the chill mists. But her passage through life will be recorded for the ages, because, like her name, Chiwang represents for all her species a last fateful glimmer of hope.